I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible.
I still know Kung Fu.
Well, who would have thought you could ever improve on one of the most iconic lines in cinematic history, being "I know Kung Fu"? Keanu outdoes himself and says, "I still know Kung Fu." Welcome back to Dewey's movie reviews for 2022. No doubt it's going to be another massive year in film, and what a way to kick it off with the review of the fourth installment of The Matrix, called The Matrix Resurrections. I'm a massive fan of this franchise. I remember when it first came out in 1999. It's one of the few films that I've seen multiple times at the theaters. So will it live up to its mid 60% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and the audience score? Time will tell. So let's go through it and discuss it in depth, shall we?
One pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. Go ask Alice when she's 10 feet tall.
Time to fly.
So I'm going to do something a little bit different this year. Obviously, I'm going to go through the trailers, talk about what I liked about them, being fans of this particular franchise and other movies as well. At the end, I'm going to have a little section where I call pros and cons of the film, and then I'll give it my rating, which I have sharpened my pencil on this year. So The Matrix, we had three main films that came out in 99, and then other two came out, I think it was 2003, Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions. So I really did enjoy, probably Reloaded more so than Revolutions. I felt that Revolutions was good up until probably the last 10 minutes of the film. So yes, we did wait a very long time for Keanu to come back and play the character Neo. So, was it worth the wait?
What happens to Neo?
So I believe the best way to review this film is to break it up into the three acts. So we've got, in the first act, we've got Neo that's definitely plugged well back into the Matrix. It's been 20 odd years since the events of Matrix Revolutions. I won't go into too many spoilers, but the way the machines actually capture him and plug him back into the Matrix, it's right in your face, to the point where this film, or the first act, is very much meta. They are referring to itself all throughout the first act, even having a stab at Warner Brothers for making a particular fourth installment of a franchise. Again, I'm stepping around spoiler territory here, but it is all in your face. They're talking about the Matrix, and you do see a lot of footage as well from the first three films. So Trinity is also plugged into the Matrix as well. I don't know how many blue pills she's on. It looks like she's doing better than Neo is to a degree, but it is all in your face basically of how these guys are definitely plugged into the Matrix once more.
If you want the truth, Neo, you're going to have to follow me.
And you know you're going to fall.
The only thing that matters to you is still here. I know it's why you're still fighting and why you will never give up. You don't know me. No?
So let's talk about a few of the supporting cast, shall we? We've got Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who was playing Morpheus. Now, Lawrence Fishburne, he will always be Morpheus to me in the first three films, and when I heard he wasn't playing Morpheus in this film, I was pretty let down. However, when you watch the film, you will understand why they have cast a new actor as Morpheus. And it's actually one of the pieces of the film that I actually quite liked, and you'll know when you see it and they'll explain it. It fits in quite well. We've obviously got a new character called Bugs, played by Jessica Henwick. She helps Neo and Trinity a hell of a lot through the movie. She is an awesome new addition. I really liked her character. Then we've got Jonathan Groff, who is the new Smith. Again, without not getting into spoilers, he does an okay role, I suppose, but when you do watch the film, as I mentioned before, there is a lot of cutting back to the first three films as well. So a lot of Matrix fans probably won't like that, and they'll probably argue that, well, why are you needing to cut back to the first three films when you should be focusing on this, the fourth installment, or a resurrection, so to speak.
I remember this.
So when you watch the film, you'll notice that Lana Wachowski has come up with some brilliant ideas, some ideas that I really liked and I thought were really good additions to the Matrix franchise. However, when these ideas pop up and grab your attention, some of them you don't hear about them again during the film. Whether this is going to be the Force Awakens of the Matrix franchise remains to be seen. But I feel that some of these ideas may have been better off explained or looked at more in depth if this Matrix was turned into a series on a streaming platform, because as I mentioned, some of them are great, but they were only on the screen for a short amount of time and you don't hear about them ever again. So that was disappointing when those ideas were mentioned.
And yet it's obviously all wrong. Maybe this isn't the story we think it is.
They taught you good. Made you believe their world was all you deserved. But some part of you knew that was a lie.
So as the second act gets well underway, you understand why each character are doing what they're doing. Each of them has a mission, and it all basically points back to Neo and Trinity being freed from the Matrix yet again and unplugging them so they can start kicking ass. What I did like about it was the explanation of how they resurrected them, because I was wondering how the hell they're going to do that when they come into this movie. But when I do watch it again, the scenes where they basically are explaining how they came back, I really enjoy. But again, as I said, there's some of the ideas that do work, some of them don't. Niobe is back. You do see her in the trailer, so not to get into too many spoilers, she does look quite aged, as you can see. There is a new Zion with a different name, obviously. That was going to happen again. They do mention that this is a newer version of the Matrix. So I did enjoy where they were going with the second act to lead up to the finale.
Some part of you remembered what was real.
It's so easy to forget how much noise the Matrix pumps into your head. Something else makes the same kind of noise. War.
So the third and final act, where we start seeing a few more fight scenes, which are quite good. Nothing compared to the second and third installments where Neo was basically flying around and playing Superman, but it's to be expected because he was plugged back into the Matrix and heavily drugged up with blue pills. So again, some of the ideas work well in the third act, where everything comes to a big finale, big climax, so to speak. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. The final scene in the movie I really didn't like. I felt it was very cheesy. They probably didn't need to do it. It was quite similar to the last 10 minutes of Matrix Revolution. So I kind of cringed at the last scene. Some people might like it, some people might not. But I wasn't a fan of it. So all in all, there were parts of The Matrix Resurrections that I did enjoy and parts that I did not.
After all these years, to be going back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
So now we come to the pros and the cons section of the movie and my final verdict as well. So the pros, I did like what they did with the Morpheus character. Some people might not agree with me. That's okay, this is just my opinion. I do like what they did with the time frame. It will explain a lot when you go and see the movie. I also like the CGI. It did look quite good. Is it as good as the CGI they use in the original? It's probably up for debate. And I did like some of the ideas that they came up with this new film. The cons. I felt that the first half of the movie was very much meta, very much in your face and stabbing at the Warner Brothers studios to a degree. I liked some of the ideas as I mentioned, but when the other set of ideas that popped up on the screen, they don't explore it too much, so they kind of fizzed out. And I felt that the last act of the movie did feel similar to the last Skywalker or Star Wars movie, where they're just basically cramming a lot of stuff into it for fan service, and it can be quite messy. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. So all in all, being a Matrix fanboy, what is my verdict for this film? I felt they could have done a lot better, especially waiting 20 years to come out with the fourth installment of this film. I like where they went with some of it. I probably think it would be better explored on a series or a streaming platform to go in depth through some of those new ideas. Some of them are really good. So would I go and see it at the movies? Well, if you're a die-hard Matrix fan, it's probably best that you do so and not look at any of the comments on some of the footage you're seeing online. However, if you're not, it's probably better that you wait for a streaming service to catch this one and make up your own mind whether you like it or not. And I will say, if it is on special at JB Hi-Fi or some shop like that, I probably would buy it to make up the fourth movie in my Matrix collection. So thank you for tuning back into the first review for 2022. It's going to be a massive year for film, and I look forward to catching up with you in the near future and going over a fair few more films. Have a great year.
The most important choice in Neo's life. It's not his to make.
She believed in me. It's my turn to believe in her.